All right, looks like we are live. So, hey everyone, good morning. My name is Eric Dupont and I am your host. And I want to thank you for being here, whether you're live or on the replay. So, today's not just a live stream, it's also a transmission. And I'm really honored to be joined by Cornelius Wilson Brown III. He's the founder of Solomon Trading University and not only the creator of the Brown Goose system, but also the author of his book, Money Market Autopsy. More importantly, he's also someone who has made the market his mirror and structured his sacred path. So while Cornelius and I come from different background with different language and expression, underneath there's definite resonance that is undeniable. And what we were talking about really is about, alignment, about integrity, about mastery, that sorts of stuff. So Cornelius, welcome to the live stream. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, why don't you just start maybe by telling a little bit about you and who are you, Cornelius? You're a unicorn. So, tell us, who are you?
Well, my name is Cornelius Brown. I am a day trader. I also started a school, and we call it the Solomon Trading University. So I started off, my background is in education. I'm a third generation educator. My grandmother was a college professor. My mother was a professor. My mother was a school teacher for 37 years in high school and did other adjunct professor work. My father was an educator as well. And I became a school teacher because I wanted to help people. And so I began teaching when I was 22 years old, and I taught economics. I taught government and economics to 12th graders. And early on, I could not understand the connection between the economics information in the textbook and real world activities. So I saw, like, how do I combine this? How do I help students to not just be smart, but to also actually be rich and to be wealthy? Well, when we got to chapter 13 in the book, it was a book on markets. Well, I grew up in an urban setting and I didn't know anything about markets whatsoever. And so what I did was I went to the local library on the south side of Birmingham, Alabama, and I pulled out every single book that I could find on investing and markets. And I ran across a book that absolutely changed my life. And the name of that book is entitled The Wall Street Money Machine, and it was written by a man by the name of Wade B. Cook. It's a paperback book now, maybe 60 cent, 50 cent probably by now, because this was way back in the day. And so when I read that book, what it did was it showed me and taught me that you don't actually have to have a lot of money to make a lot of money in the market. This book taught me that you can actually control stock with just a small amount of money. And so that really intrigued me, and it just caused me to just dive deeper and deeper and deeper. So then I began to understand and recognize that there were many different types of markets. There were forex markets, then the futures market, then the stock market, then the options market. And so once I began to understand that, I took that back to my classroom. And the first person that I taught this to, he ended up making $1 million in his dormitory as a sophomore in college. And so from there, just continued to teach people. And, that's the long and short of it. That's how I got involved in it. And that's how I got involved in markets as an educator. So, you then take that and then combine that with my theological construct. So I hold a unique place in the marketplace because I'm a born again Christian. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I love God and I love people. And I began to pastor. So I pastored for 25 years. I went to Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so over the years, I knew the information that I'm teaching people now, but there was a little balance between between, okay, do I stay in economics? Do I stay in theology and back and forth? And then in 2020, my mother died. And that's when God told me, he said, listen, I want you now to help people in a practical way. You've helped people in an eschatological manner. Eschatology is the study of the afterlife. But now I need you to help people in an existential manner. That means right now. And so that's what I began to do. And so I went to my pastor, my church merged with his church, or my congregation became a part of his congregation. And then I set out on this journey to help people. And that's what I'm doing. And so now I'm helping people all over the world, in Japan, Africa, Canada, Hawaii, all throughout the United States. And I'm helping people. And I teach people who never traded before in their life, or people who are traders and not consistent, how to make 1 to 3% every single day. And then how to make double-digit returns every week. In fact, we give out an award every week. Eric, you got the award this week. I think you grew your account 19.7%. But we have people that grew their account 30% this week, 40% this week. Tara and Zach, they combined, they grew their account 53% this week. So this is what we do. I am a master trader. I'm a master of markets. I understand everything about them, how they work, how the smart money works, like just everything about it. And that's what I do. And so once I began to do this, I found out that a lot of people fail at day trading. Most people can't do it. The default rate is around 90% of people who try to day trade. They lose all of their money. And I found out, and I discovered why they lost, why they're losing their money. And I just do the opposite of the things that those 90% of people do. And in order to do that, I had to create a pedagogical experience. I created a school, because a lot of people have YouTube channels and try to teach people on videos and stuff like that. But it's actually an education that you must have. And then on top of that education, you must have that skill set that's developed. Well, here is the problem that takes place, Eric. Most of the people who are trying to tell people about how to trade, they don't trade themselves. They sell products, they financial products or what have you, but they don't actually trade. And see, I'm right there in the pit. I'm right there in the mix every single day. So I'm able to help you in a way that other people cannot help you. Most people who are selling courses, they just got together. They had a weekend on their hands. They got together. They pulled some information, Chat GPT and all kind of stuff now, and then they pass it off as a course. And like, this is what you need, but that's not what you need. You need a person. You need a mentor. You need a human being who actually has done that and does it every single day. So in fact, double-digit returns per week is what my students make. Triple-digit returns per quarter, quadruple-digit returns per year. And the purpose of that is not just to accumulate a lot of money, because wealthy people, we don't want to just accumulate money. Poor people just want a lot of cash, but wealthy people want cash flow. So the way you get cash flow is you have to have a portfolio. And the only way you can get a portfolio is you have to have cash to accelerate that portfolio. And so that's what I teach. I teach people to use day trading not as an end, but as a means to an end. In other words, you use the day trading, you take that money, you take those profits, and then you begin to diversify into long-term plays, short-term plays, alternative investment plays. So now you have a portfolio that's bringing you money day in and day out, even while you're asleep. So long story short, I'm an educator. I'm a former pastor. I'm a preacher. I love God. And so sometimes in the church world, I have a unique place because they only want to talk about going to heaven. And then sometimes in the business world, I'm in a unique position because all they want to talk about is making money. But I want to talk about going to heaven and making money while I'm still here on earth, because the scripture teaches it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18 says, I am the God that gives you the power to get well. The scripture teaches that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Ecclesiastes 2:26 says that God God gives wisdom, joy, and peace to those who love him and please him, but he gives the tasks to those who don't love him and please him to go out into the world to gather all the goods and to hand it over to someone who does please him. So I believe that it's the will of God that I be rich. I believe it's the will of God that I be wealthy, because I believe it's the will of God that I'm able to help people. And you can't help people if you don't have anything yourself. So sorry I was so verbose there, Eric, but
Oh no, that is wonderful, Cornelius, and
yeah.
that's that's what I really appreciate so much about you. You want to roll, so I didn't want to interrupt. So, but thank you for the synopsis. I would like to dive maybe a little deeper in the different parts that you just exposed to
Sure.
us, especially. What I really appreciate about you is that not only do you have a mastery of your craft, you're an absolute grandmaster as far as trading, futures trading, and other type of tradings, and not just that, but a financial aspect of creating portfolios, as you mentioned. But you
Hmm.
also have a background as an educator. And what I'm
Hmm.
hearing from you when you started the conversation is that you started as an educator, as a professor, but then you
Hmm.
became the student for a long time, your
Hmm.
own student. You
Hmm.
taught yourself, and then
Hmm.
eventually you coming full circle and you teaching others as well. But
Correct.
what good is that if you have somebody, you, who's a grandmaster at your craft, has the ability to transfer the information, but then has no desire to do so? And there are plenty in the world. And to
Hmm.
me, where you sit as a unicorn, and that's a word that you've used with me, that's why I'm happy to use that again in this
Hmm.
transmission, is that you're unique because you have the goods, you know how to transfer the goods, and at the same time, that is your life's mission. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. I really appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Those who have a spiritual construct, you may understand when I say this, and some people don't. But I can't. I don't have time to manage other people's opinion about myself. But God speaks to me, and He told me. He said, "I want you to take the talent that you have, and I want you to help bridge the gap between poverty and prosperity in the kingdom of God. Because most people are broke. Most people in our country are in debt. Most people don't have enough. If they were to lose their job, or if they weren't able to turn the key on their business, they would be in a world of trouble. Well, that's not the will of God. That's not the will of God. Jesus said in John chapter 10, verse 10, he says, I have come. He said, the thief come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. He said, but I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. And that word abundant, when you break it down in the Greek, it means to have too much of that is too good. Did you hear what I said? It means to have too much that is too good. Paul told Timothy to charge those who are rich in this world to communicate. That word communicate in the Greek, it means to give. So as a child of God, as a person who's living on the earth that God created, I am supposed to have apples. I'm supposed to have oranges. I'm supposed to have trees. I'm supposed to have whatever it is that he put in this playground for me, because I don't believe that God created the earth for the enemy. I believe he created the earth for his people, and the enemy came in, but he has given us the ability to overcome and to dominate. That's why Jesus said, be of good cheer, because I have already overcome the world. So guess what? I'm supposed to have money. Isaiah chapter 1 verse 19 says, if you're willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. I'm not supposed to be scrambling, I'm not supposed to be poor. I'm not supposed to not have food. I'm not supposed to be in a position where I can't take care of my family. So what has to happen, Hosea 4:6 says, you have to get knowledge. He says, my people perish, not for the lack of intellect, not for the lack of having the ability, but my people perish for the lack of knowledge. And that is why most people don't have. Most people don't have what they need, because everything they want, everything they desire, everything that they need is on the other side of something that you do not know. And most people don't understand that education does not start when you're in kindergarten. Education does not start until you graduate from school. That's when the real education starts. And most people don't study anything after they graduate school, high school, or college. They don't read a book after they graduate high school or college. They don't do any more learning. And so if you are that type of person and you don't want to learn anything and go through any learning curves, you will always be subservient to those people like myself who will read and who will learn something.
Absolutely. And that's what I love, that we may use a different language, but actually we're saying exactly the same thing. I
Mhm.
mean, you're talking about bringing heaven on earth, basically. Why wait until you're dead?
Yeah.
This is the time to express yourself, and you're meant to be successful, to be wealthy, to have the ability to bless others because
Hmm.
of what's been given to you. But
Hmm.
along with that, you also have the duty, if you will, to not
Hmm.
only acquire the knowledge, apply it, but also
Mm,
pass it on to others. And that is
exactly.
exactly what you're doing, and I absolutely love that. Um, because we have different people either watching live with us right now or later on replay, um, not everybody that is listening to us right now is a trader or even thought about becoming a trader. But you touch
Hmm.
on something very important.
Hmm.
Whether anybody thought about it or not, or is
Hmm.
currently a trader, everybody needs this
That's
because
right.
everybody needs to create some sort of a comfort at first to make sure that you have your basic needs met, and then you need to have the ability to bless others, whether it's your family, your community, people around the world, as you are doing. So
Hmm.
can you speak a little bit to that so that people who may not have considered actually see how important this piece of the puzzle is, and how potentially they can also create this financial freedom and a genuine wealth on solid foundations? Could you speak to that a bit,
I
Cornelius?
can. As an educator, like I said, I'm a third generation educator, and how I became knowledgeable of this or aware of this was in the economics book. In the economics book that I used to teach students in the state of Alabama, in chapter number 13, the chapter was on markets. So the fact that you don't know about this is not because you should not know about this. You just don't know about it. I ask people all the time, tell me five things that you remember from your high school economics class. And most people they can't because they weren't really paying attention. They were trying to get through school, and so they don't, and then even me, what led me on the quest was how do I take this information and relay it to the students where they could use it in a practical manner. That's what led me to say, okay, what good does it do you to be very, very smart about the GDP, about all of this, and you can't make any money? And trading was the bridge, right? So you should learn about this. Every single person. See, one of the problems, Keith, is that people are financially literate, but they are money market illiterate. So you should have been taught in school that there are three players in the game. There's the consumer, the entrepreneur, and the investor. You need to find out how to become the investor. And the way you become the investor is you have to put yourself in a position where you can make more money fast, rapid, and sustain it. Because then you take that money and you convert it to hard assets. And then those assets begin to pay. See, what wealthy people don't do is they don't spend money that they make with their hands and their feet and their mouth. They don't spend money that they make. They spend money that their money makes. So I make the money, then I employ the money, and then the money begins to pay me. So I don't buy money from a check. I take all of that. You have to have most people budget, but they don't budget 15% for investments. So you take your money. For me, I'm a tithe. That's 10%. All right. So that leaves 90%. All right. Then I'm going to take 50% for household stuff. Right. Then now that leaves 40%, I guess. And then I got to take some of that money for investments. Now, if you just take that money and just put it in a fund, it will grow over time. And you do something that's called dollar cost averaging. Every 2 weeks, you keep putting money in it. You keep putting money in it. What I have come along to say, yeah, put money in your exchange traded funds. Yeah. Put money in your index funds. Yeah. Put money in your insurance policy, index universal life insurance policy. Yeah. But then take a small amount. You can take $3,000 and turn it into $1 million in 1 year simply by making 1 to 3% per day every day.
Wait,
And
wait, wait. Say that one more time because I know some people are watching. So you're telling me, and I know we're on the same wavelength here, but I want for the
yeah,
benefit of the audience to repeat this. So you can take $3,000 and
yeah.
turn that into a million.
Yeah, all you got to do, you can look at a future value calculator. You can go to calculator.net, pull up a future value calculator, and put 200 days and interest rate 3% and no more periodic deposits, and hit calculate, and it'll show you that on the first day you make $90, on the next day you make $91. So no, it's not a get rich quick scheme, but it is a get rich slow scheme, because if you keep making 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, you're going to make it. So do we make 3% every day? Sometimes we make 10%. Sometimes we make 7%. The most we'll lose is 2%, because that's a part of the plan. So if you lose 2% one day, 2% the next day, and make 10% the next day, come on, how much money are you up? 6%. If you
Yes.
lose 2%, you're down, you're still up 4%. Then you make 10% on Friday, you're up what? 14%. And you just keep doing that same thing. And so it'll take you coming, if you are already a trader, I have another program for you, because you don't need to learn what a candle is, and you need to learn the strategy, and how you can become rich
I,
now.
I I love that, Cornelius. And you said it. It's not really. I mean, the math is easy. You don't have to be a genius at math to
Yeah,
trade.
yeah.
You have to understand that you have more wins than you have losses, and your
Hmm.
losses are smaller than your wins. So automatically, you preserve your capital, and you have no
Hmm.
choice but to actually grow it and become wealthy in a genuine fashion with a solid foundation.
Right.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely.
At least that's
Absolutely.
my experience so far with
Absolutely.
the two of us in our community trading. I want to touch on something that I feel is really important, because while we have some people who are traders here, we also have people who are not traders and may consider or may say, you know what, it's not for me. We've already
Mhm.
established everybody has something to gain from the market. But the biggest thing for me, besides the money, of course, we all in it for the money. That's a big part,
Mhm.
but it's also the market is a reflection, is a mirror of our character, of who we are. Because
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, and that's been my experience thus far,
Mhm.
unless we have the ability to look at what the market reflects to us and look at our own flaws or the habits that maybe are good for some things but not really conducive to being an impeccable individual,
Mhm.
those things are the things that will sink us in the market. But as
Mhm.
we learn to master ourselves, to change, to morph into the full potential that we are, then
Mhm.
the market reflects that back to us. I
Mhm.
mean, I can speak from experience, and you know it very well because you do it very well to kind of beat me over the head with a stick when you have to. And I
Mhm.
appreciate that so much. I mean, I have over traded, I have over leveraged, I have doubted myself.
Mhm.
What you have taught me, or what you're still teaching me, I'm in the process of transforming those aspects, is actually the structure. To have a structure, to have a plan, to abide by it, to have discipline. And while I'm extremely disciplined in my life for a whole host of reasons, there are some others that I've experienced in the market where the market is impartial. It just, the market is what it is. But I can control what I can control and nothing else. So
Mhm.
can you speak a little bit to that aspect? Because I feel this whole thing is so much more than just money. It's about transformation of the individual, becoming something else, becoming our full potential. Can
Mhm.
you run with that for me?
Yeah, yeah. So I believe that, everything that I say is going to come out of a theological construct. So I believe that the purpose that God gives us money and blesses us with money is to be a blessing to other people. Well, that takes a certain type of person to even have the idea or the want to bless other people, and it takes a person that's humble. And what the market does is it humbles you, because you'll find out very, very quickly that you're not as smart as you thought you were. You're not as disciplined as you thought you were. You're not as patient as you thought you were. And through that process, because I understand that, that's why I have the growth process to get you through that so you won't lose your money. Then you get to the grow process, the learning process, then the growing process, then the pro process, and then the manifestation is at the end. But yeah, so there is a transformation of that, because you have to be another person, so that God can get money not only to you, but get money through you. And he can't get money through a person who's haughty. That's why he said, charge those in this world to not be high-minded, to not be haughty, because you can't even be used. So what good is it for you to get the money and stack it up? There was a man in the Bible who got the money, stacked it up, stacked it up, stacked it up, and tonight he said your soul is going to be required. So God is not against you having a lot of money. He's against you having a lot of money and not being willing to give to other people. Well, the market is going to make you that type of person. It's going to make you a kind person. It's going to make you a patient person. It's going to make you a disciplined person. It's because you have to be coachable and all of those things. So all of the things in that process that you have to go through so that you can get to the benefit, get to the end, get to the wealth, get to it. You'll go through that process, and it's been a blessing for you and for many people. And many people tell me all the time, I'm a better husband because of this process. I'm a better wife because of this process. I'm a better father. I'm a better mother because I am now patient. Now I have to look at the whole picture now I have to not be so emotional. And that's the reason people lose their money for the most part, is because they're emotional. And so you have to curb those emotions and learn how to channel those emotions in a different way.
Thank you. I love that, and that's been my experience, and of course, it's an ongoing development for myself. You're the grand trading master over here. We're the students, and we'll keep on morphing. And I'm really excited because as we kind of come up to speed, we might never catch up with you, but at least we can flock together and we can actually go on to better things. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Now, we've talked about the philosophy, the psychology of being in the market. I'm
Mhm.
sure there are some people who may be traders already who are listening. It's like, wait a minute, I am not hearing about indicators, about trends, about waves, about this and that. So obviously, the technical analysis portion is important. But
Mhm.
what part does that play? I mean, how much is psychology versus how much is actual knowledge of some lingo, some terms, and the ability to decipher the market, recognize patterns, and maybe forecast. Can you speak to that a little
Mhm.
bit, Cornelius?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that technical analysis and tools, that is not what makes you rich. That is not what makes the money. What makes the money is the mindset. And that is the reason that people, when they come to me and they've been training for years and haven't been successful and haven't made money, it's not because they don't know. Sometimes they're very, very smart. And when you listen to them talk, they're very, very smart, but that's not what makes money. What makes money is the mindset of understanding what the market does. So the goal of a successful trader is to make money. I mean, is to make trades and not make money. So number one, a lot of times that if your motivation for opening up your charts, if your motivation for looking for your indicators and all of that sort of stuff is to make money, a lot of times you won't make money because now money evokes an emotion on the inside of you that causes anxiety, which causes you to not think as well. When you get shocked with information, what happens just naturally? You ain't think, wait a minute, let me process this. Well, you're always in that mode if you're only thinking about money. I don't think about money when I'm trading. I'm thinking about trading. I'm thinking about understanding what's happening, because what is happening in the market, the reason I make money and the reason you make money, Eric, and we make money collectively is because we understand that there are two players in the market. You have the smart money, which is the institutional traders, and then everybody else. Most people think it's every man for themselves and it's all fair. There's nothing fair about it. Matter of fact, in my book, I talk about the wizardry in the market, in the money market, all types of book in the first chapter. There's a plethora of manipulation that's in the market, and that is actually how you become rich. That's how George Soros became rich
Mhm.
because he understood the manipulation in the market. So Mark Douglas in his book says that wealthy traders think differently than traders that lose all of their money because it has nothing to do with the technical analysis. It's everything to do with the mindset that you have, and that's what I convey, and that's what you get with me. If you are already a trader, you won't learn probably anything new, but you'll learn how I think, how I view the market, why why do I get out of trades? You know, things of that nature. So it's not whether or not you're right or you're wrong, but how much you make is based on how much you lose when you're wrong. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I love it. And I'm going to share just 1 minute of my own personal experience because I so resonate with what you just shared. I
Hmm.
mean, I certainly consider myself as a beginner trader, somebody who's learning.
Hmm.
I did take a course at some point, and you mentioned it in passing earlier, but there's plenty of information, whether it's on YouTube, people using,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, ChatGPT. The way I love to talk about it, the back of a hotel room, someplace where somebody is just, peddling some online course, CDs
Yeah.
or whatnot. I mean, there's a plethora of those things available. And I have actually had a privilege of taking a course, not yours, but a few years back, with a master trader from Wall Street also, and it was a fantastic course. It was fire hose type of learning, 12 hours a day for a full week. But what I must say, and this is what's important to me, I have received more value and more help and more attention in 2 days with you, Cornelius, than I have sitting in this beautiful class. Because you have someone who's a master at his trade, who does it very well, who knows it very well. There's a lot of theory, but there's hardly any application of it. So then
Hmm.
you're left on your own to figure out, how do I apply this? And as you mentioned, 20% of it perhaps is analysis, is knowledge,
Hmm.
but everything else is actually psychology and is a personal growth. So
Hmm.
you can trade on a simulator for, forever and still not make a whole lot of progress because you learn from your own mistake, you learn from trading the market.
Hmm.
So to be in a trading room with you as we do in the morning, and I'd love for you to talk about this
Oh
shortly,
yeah.
is absolutely invaluable because we have somebody, you, who knows what you're doing, who actually taking the trade live in front of us with real money. And then
Yeah.
we have us with the knowledge that we're acquiring, doing our best to exercise our own judgment, do our own management, because you cannot do that for us. You're obviously not a financial advisor or anything like that. You just know how to do something and you show people what you're doing. And it's up
Hmm.
to us to come and replicate that and kind of soak in the information, learn from you, and then you have a formal course
Hmm.
that teaches how to apply the knowledge. So it's not a
Hmm.
blind system where it's book knowledge and then you're left out to dry and hopefully you make it and maybe you don't, like the 97% of
Right.
most traders, right?
Right.
So that's what I absolutely love. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you do in the CBT3 room in the morning,
Mhm.
that trading room, that community that we have formed?
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to that original thought, Warren Buffett says that the market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. And if you notice, that is the advantage of being in the trading room because I have a painstaking patience. I have the ability to look at a market for 30 minutes and not move, for an hour and not move. Because I write in my book, there are many moments you can trade, but there are only a few tradable moments. And so when you understand that, then you understand that the time to trade. And here's another thing: if you miss it, you missed it, and you have to wait for the next day. I always like to say this: you can't go back and trade the trade that you didn't trade. You can't go back and take the trade that you didn't take. You understand what I'm saying? So, so
Found right there.
all of this stuff that you can't get that on a book. You know what I'm saying? You have to get that in an environment, a live environment. So I take real trades with real money, with real people every single day. No time delay, all time stamped. I make the 1 to 3% right there in front of everybody's face every single day. Now that's the difference between me and a person who has a course because they'll show you these perfect charts and this is the way it's supposed to look and this is how it's supposed to look. But trading is never the same every day. It's like walking to a river. If you step into a river today and then go to that same river tomorrow, you're not the same person, and that's not the same river. That's how trading is. You're not the same person as you were yesterday, and this is not the same market that it was yesterday. Yesterday as well. So every day is a new day. And so when people say, I have a course and people taught me how to trade, my question is, number one, are you consistent? In other words, can you take $3,000 and turn it to $1,000,000? That means you're consistent. And then number two, do they take the trades in front of you where you can see the entry, where you can see the management, where you can see the exit? I'm talking about I'm talking about plain as day, not something that you typed me and sent an email to me and told me this is a good place and that. No, real time, no time delay, real time. That's what I do. And so in order to do that, you have to know what you're doing. But
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
we do. So in the trade room, so here's how it goes. So if you have never traded before, you'll come in. What we'll do is we'll take you through what we call the learning phase. We're going to teach you what the computer is. We're going to teach you what account. We're going to teach you everything that you need to know. That'll take you probably a month. Okay. And then after that, we'll move you to the grow phase. That is where you would get into a real life situation and you'll get a chance to practice what you've been taught. And there you'll get feedback. Okay, you should have done this, you should have done that. Okay, that's the growth phase. Now, about 3 months in, now you're like, okay, I've learned. I know what I'm doing. Now I'm ready to get in the trade room and simulate trade. Then boom. Then now you're at the pro phase. A professional is just somebody who gets paid for what they do. And so now you'll be a professional. And if you have training experience, you may blow through that quicker than that. But the thing about it is, you have to desire to have a portfolio. You have to desire to be wealthy. You have to have that desire. Now, then you have to be willing to do what it takes, because nobody's gonna come and rescue you. Nobody is gonna come and give you any money. Like, no, I know you may have had a cancer diagnosis and you may have had a hardship with things going, but nobody's just going to come. God has given you the ability to hear me, to see Eric, to know that this man is not lying. Like, and I'm scam proof. I like to say this, I'm scam proof because I can't fake you coming into the trade room looking at it. A scam is when somebody tells you that they can give you a benefit that, number one, they haven't done, they cannot do, and they know good and well as it's coming out of their mouth, it's not true. That's not what this is. And so if you want to be wealthy, you can be. It's just a choice that you have to make. It's a decision that you have to make. You have to cut yourself off from any other decision and make the decision that this is what I'm going to do. Now, I always laugh at people when they say they can't learn this and maybe I can't learn that. But when you were born, you didn't even know your name.
That's right.
No, you didn't know your name. Somebody had to keep calling you that name, Cornelius, and then your mother or father had to get into your face and say it to you so that you'll know whenever you hear these phonetic sounds connected like this is a word. It's a proper noun, and this proper noun is your name. So you can't tell me you didn't know what red was, you didn't know what green was, you didn't know anything. So you mean to tell me that at this big old age, you can't learn something? No, 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 no. So it's up to you to make a decision that, you know what, the buck stops here. I've been looking for an opportunity. I've been looking for somebody, and the opportunity is just there. So that's how we do that.
Thank you for saying that. And obviously, I can vouch exactly for the program, for what you're offering, for what we're all doing together, because you said it yourself. I mean, you're trading in front of us with real money in real time every day, making the profit day in, day out. We all doing the same because we're soaking in the information and we're learning. Are we making mistakes? Of course we are, but not mistakes that we cannot recover from. And that's what the important bit is. When people trade without a net because they've watched a program on TV, on YouTube, or read a book or something, I mean, Talk about walking a very thin line without a net. I mean, that's suicide, at
It's
least
not going to
from
work.
my perspective. It's not going to work. So that is not what you're offering. But for people who are watching us in the audience, whether live or on replay, um, they hearing this, and of course it's still a third party information, it's just me and you talking. So how could they maybe have a taste of it, see exactly how that's happening? I know you have a way to do that. Can you share that a little bit so that people who may have an interest, people who may still be skeptical, because I promise our audience that there would be no hype, this wouldn't be a salesy thing, it's just talking about the market, and either people resonate or they don't. We
Hmm.
both know that everybody needs this, but we also know that not everybody is going to be willing to do what it takes. And we know it's simple, very simple,
Hmm.
but it's not easy.
Hmm.
But bridging that gap is the difference between an okay life or survival or having a beautiful life. Not only because of the money and what you can do with it, bless other people in the process, but because of the transformation that takes place in all of us who are partaking in this kind of endeavor.
Hmm.
So, how could somebody maybe have a taste of it and
Hmm.
see for themselves that, hey, this is not hype, this is happening in real time, and I too can partake in this if I so desire?
Yeah, I want to go back to that easy. When he says it's not easy, it means you have to spend some time. In other words, you have to spend like 2 hours a day, because even if you're coming into the trade room looking over my shoulder, taking the analysis, you have to understand what I'm saying to you. And as I'm talking about what I'm talking about, that's what he means by easy. I never failed a kid on all of my years of teaching school, and the principals used to ask me why not. I said, well, if I failed the child, that means the child didn't fail, I failed. And my mother taught me that. My mother taught for 37 years in high school. She says that anytime the child fails, now you have that 10% of high emergent misbehavior. I'm not talking about those people who flunk themselves. I'm talking about people who actually came to school because it's my job. So that's one of the things. Everybody, even all over the world, from Africa to from all wherever the people are, they all have my personal cell phone number, all of them, because this for me is not a transaction, it's a relationship. It's not transactional, it's relational. And they can text me and they can call me and I talk them through. So I did not let my students fail. I found out if they were tactile learners. I found out if they were audio learners. I found out if they were visual learners. I found out if they were a combination of them all. I took the intelligence quota test with them, so I know. So if I don't see how you can fail, to be totally honest, because I've been called to do this. This is what I've been put on earth to do. And when I help the last person, I'm pretty sure the Lord will take me on. But this is my job, and this is what I do. I would say to reach out to you, Eric, and to DM you. If they're interested, and then what we'll give them is we'll give them a VIP pass where they can come into the trade room and then they can watch for themselves. But if you've been looking for me and you know this is what you've been looking for, and you're ready to go, we can do that too. And I will give you a discount for that, because I do like to reward people who are decision makers, because that's the type of person I am. Like, I know what I want, I know what I'm looking for. So you can also look at, you can go to SolomonTradingU.com, SOLOMON trading. Uh, TRADINGU, the letter U.com, and kind of see a little bit. You can also text the word profits to 94253. 94253. Text the word profits. That's PROFITS, plural. And so you can get information. But if you're ready to go, I want you to come back to Keith. I mean, come back to Eric and DM him so that you can get the discount from being on this program. Because if you go through the other channel, no one would know like that where you came from or what have you. And so, and we do have packages where you can pay one time and save some money, or you can stretch it out and pay over 12 months and being in the group. So we'll work with you. So just reach out Eric Dupont by way of DM. And I guess if you're on Facebook, you have to have access to his messenger. And we'll move that way.
Absolutely. And if that's okay with you, Cornelius, I'll put the number for texting underneath the banner here so people can see it. So you text 94253. And then when you speak with Cornelius or just connect with him directly, just please mention my name so he knows where it's coming from. And it's accountability on all ends. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing a lot in here, there's a lot of accountability. We have to be accountable to ourselves first, because if we don't have that willingness to do that, then we'll never do a program like this. We'll never learn the skills that will actually further our own life. So there's accountability to ourselves, and then accountability to you, accountability to the energy of life, to anything we do, to anything that we partake in. Is that correct? Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Accountability is a big part of it.
absolutely, absolutely. Let me ask you. Let me ask you. Does anybody want to be? Can they raise their hand in the chat? Can they put chat? Anybody wants to be financially free? Put me in the chat. Put me. Anybody wants to be financially free?
I'm not getting everything fed back to me in the live stream for some reason, so I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure. I'm not seeing all of those, but I already had some echoed and some people contacting me even before the live stream today. And
Okay.
obviously, there is a lot of interest in people who, like, yeah, I could
Mhm.
handle that. I see Kim. Kim is saying, yes, me. She's putting an exclamation mark.
Okay. Well, I got a question. Like, would it stand to reason that if you are not where you are now, that there's some that you don't know? And if that's so, I'd love to teach that to you because that's the only difference. The difference between the haves and the have-nots is knowledge. It's just that simple. And I think, and I want to go back to that water hose course you talked about. I think that people who teach courses try to make the information so difficult because they really can't trade themselves. So they try to make it so difficult because you don't need all of that. Like it's a simple process. You have to know which way is the market going. It's simple to figure that out. Then you have to know where has the manipulation take place. That's simple. Then what entry confluence do I need to have and how do I need to manage it? You can teach that in less than a year easily. You know what I mean?
When you boil it down in those terms, it sounds very simple. And I know
It
from
is
practice that
simple.
it really is. It just takes the willingness to do it over and over. And then
Mhm.
it becomes second nature. And then you have somebody like yourself after how long
Yeah,
is it? 20, 25 years
yeah,
of successful trading and
yeah,
creating wealth every day in the market.
yeah.
Tabitha in the chat room is saying me. So I
All
know
right,
that
all right.
people are really in need and interested in, and so that's wonderful. Uh, you have the number over there to text to get in touch with you. You put my
Does
name in
anybody have
there.
any questions?
That's what I'm looking for, some question. And right now, I'm not seeing anything. Again, I'm not seeing everything fed back to me in the chat room. I do have a few questions also that came to me before the live stream, so I'll
Okay.
go with that. But as far as obviously everything costs money, it's not possible to create a course to teach people. I mean, you freely give your time, and I can vouch for that all the time. You're always available, and is so much appreciation for you for that. Obviously, there needs to be a price tag because it costs to actually run a program, to have the software.
Mhm.
You're the developer of the Brown Goose, which you haven't talked about just yet, but that's a proprietary software that helps in the trading. So, what are people looking at for an investment in themselves to get into a program like this, learn to be financially free, and create generational wealth?
That's a great question. So my mentor, when I was out, because I taught this free for so long, and so when my mentor he told me, he said, "How much money can you help a person make?" I said, $1 million. He said, "Well, you should charge them $10,000." I said, "Well," he said, "Yeah, because he said if they're going to make $1 million, they walk away with $990,000, and you walk away with the data boy and a pat on the back and a good job, and I really appreciate you." He said, "Well, that won't feed your family." So that's kind of the way I work it. So Each year, I help you make $1 million, you give me 10. I help you make a million, you give me 10. And you can do that over months. You don't have to do it all at one time. So you can pay one time. If you pay one time, it'll be $8,000. So if you wanted to pay right now, that's what it'll be. If not, then you would have a down payment, and then you would make payments. But the beautiful thing about it is I'm the one helping you make the payment. you know,
So are you saying that you have a
I
bit of
would
a vested
well, I
interest?
would I wouldn't do it that way if you had to go somewhere else and figure out how to pay for it. But because I know I'm the person that you're going to be listening to, and this is what I do, we'll do it over time like that. So
Well, hey, Cornelius, in my book, to pay 8 grand to make a million, I mean, there's a no-brainer. There's no,
now you
there's
still
not
have
too
to
many
have the
things.
desire, you still have to do the work, you still have to have the discipline.
That's right.
You have to delete some things out of your life because you have to spend 2 hours a day doing this. I mean, it's nobody's gonna press the computer for you, and they're not gonna grab the mouse for you. Like you have to do that part. So that's why but yeah. So, and I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a random guy from the state of Alabama who learned how to trade. I wrote a book. I developed a software, and I run a trade room. Real people taking real trades in real time. But I am not a financial advisor. I am not licensed. I don't have any kind of license. Well, I have a driver's license, but that's it. So that's the disclaimer.
And that was important to say because, I mean, you're a wealth of knowledge and you have the ability to transfer that knowledge. But in the end, it's still, I mean, we're still sovereign people, and it belongs to us to make our own decision and to be smart enough. It's like, hey, Cornelius is doing something and it makes sense to me. I'm going to emulate that. But wait a minute, that portion of it here, my circumstances are a little bit different. So I may have to tweak this. So it's not financial advice, it's simply being a good human who has the head on the shoulders and is able to think for themselves, and that's what we need to do. So you can only lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink, correct? So you can teach certain things, but it's up to us to actually do the work and actually help ourselves and create that wealth. Is that a good fair statement?
Absolutely, absolutely. You get the trading room, you get the education, you get the software, you get the person that's going to help you. I mean, um, and sometimes if you think that that's too much money, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to write down $1 million. Write down $1 million. That's 1,000, comma 000. I want you to write that down. And then I want you to subtract what you make per year. If it's 100,000, 70,000, whatever. Whatever number is left, so if you make 100,000, that means 900,000 is left. That's how much you're giving away by not giving me $10,000.
Well, when you put it in those terms, I mean, it's again, I know it is a no brainer for me, and that's why I joined, and that's why I'm experiencing this. That's why I'm also sharing it with all of you. So everybody who may resonate with this has the opportunity also to do the same for themselves. And I think that's very important. Um,
Think
what
about
I'm
this. Let me say this too, because sometimes people, when it comes to money, they have the mentality. I don't like to use poor, but a poor mentality is this: wealthy people don't even ask how much stuff costs because they want the value. You don't go into a Lamborghini shop and asking them how much does it cost. You don't go into a Tesla shop asking how much does it. You shouldn't be in there if you need to know the price, because wealthy people look at value. Poor people know how much everything costs to the penny. Wealthy people don't know how much anything costs, because if I want it, bring it to me. I was in a restaurant the other day. Well, it's going to be an extra charge. Bring it. I want it. It doesn't matter what it costs if I want it. So if I want something that's going to take my life to another level, this is what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on the value of what I'm getting, not what I'm giving away, because you can keep what you have and you can continue to live like you have, like you have been living. Like that shit, me, Eric, I'm just real. Like at the end of the day, I mean, you like nothing is for free. Like nothing in life is for free. And definitely what we do is transformative.
And that to me is the biggest part of it. As you transform, everything else falls into place and come your way as well. So, based on what you just said, somebody, a beautiful person I know who asked a few questions and couldn't make it perhaps live on this call, but was echoing to me that that person may not be very good at finances and financial stuff in general. So that's true for a lot of people, for a lot of us. I could raise my hand and say this has been true in many areas of my life. So, what would you say to someone like that? Why is this really specifically for them? Just because of that reason? What would you have to say?
Well, because like I told you, my background is economics. My background, I was an economics teacher. I've never been to Wall Street. I don't know what Wall Street looks like today. Like if you were to blindfold me and drop me off, I've never been to New York even for a layover. I don't know anything about it. So I'm not coming from a place of a shrewd businessman, or I'm coming from a place as a teacher. That's what I do. I teach. That's what I was born to do. That's what I had a professional certificate to do. And so anybody can learn. Anybody can learn. The question is, do you have someone who's willing to teach you? I'm willing to teach you anything that you don't know. I mean, that's what we taught in economics. We talked about portfolios and talked about how to build them and talked about how to develop them, create them, how to diversify them, things of that nature. So that's what I do. Remember, trading for me is just the accelerant to the portfolio. That's where the money is. The money is in the conversion. You have to take the money and convert the money into assets. That's all a portfolio is, a collection of assets that brings you money, cash flow. So trading is not the end. It's just the beginning.
Thank you for that. And folks, I mean, I don't even know how to begin to tell you how valuable, how priceless it is to have someone, a live human being of character, who has the ability, the willingness to teach, and who's a master at it. That to me is the biggest difference in the world. And not only is having somebody who is real, who's available, talking to you like we are today, right now, but somebody whose number you have, somebody who's a friend, somebody who you can grow with. I mean, that is not something you find in most courses, and I've experienced that, so I know the difference. And I'm sure you all have experienced something similar, whether it's in trading or any other endeavor in life. So um, it's enough about that's a little spiel on my end. But what I'm hearing is that you found structure through trading, that the market exposes us all. So if we have a flaw, it's going to be amplified. And that gives us the opportunity to look at that flaw and maybe start transforming it. And as we do transform ourselves, the market starts reflecting back to us the person that we have become in the process. So that's really important. So it's really teaching about character refinement. This conversation, this transmission we're having now, is much more than just let's talk about trading, let's get a course, and let's get wealthy. No, it's about character change, and as that occurs, everything else comes into the equation. Also, it's about emotional sovereignty. It's about it's not about a quick win. It's about creating the structure that will allow for consistent day after day small wins that will amount to incredible wealth and exponential wealth in general. Do you have a last word to say, Cornelius? Something that you would like to tell our audience that maybe I haven't thought about or hasn't been asked yet?
Well, what basically this course would do, and this I won't even say course, Eric. I say experience would do.
Thank
It'll
you.
help you not have to worry about how much things cost. Like everything costs the same. Because once you have the money coming in like this, it really doesn't matter. Everything costs the same. A car costs the same as a loaf of bread because it doesn't money. And most people are spending money that they made with their hard earned blood, sweat, and tears. And that's why it hurts so much for the have nots to spend money. I want to buy that, but it hurts so much because it represents 8 hours standing on your feet. It represents 9 hours dealing with a boss you don't like. It represents when I give away this money. But see, when your money is making money, everything is easy. And another thing is that I'll close by saying, again, this is relational and not transactional. And when it gets to when it gets to the point where I can't talk to everybody on the phone, I'm gonna stop and let those people clear out before I do others. Because I'm not trying to create a course, and I want to know. I speak to every single person before they come. You can't go to a website and I'm just going to pay money and get in. No, you can't. I need to talk to you. I need to know you, because what we have is too good for one person to come in and mess up the chemistry, if you will. And so, and I'll refund people's money back in a minute. Like this isn't for you, because it's not about the money. It's about them. It's about the transformation, and it's about helping people, because that's what we do.
Absolutely. And I certainly do not want for you to refund my money. I'm very happy with it. So thank you.
No, I refund the money because I'm not happy with them. They always happy with me.
No, I absolutely got it. But this conversation is really not about trading so much as it is about transformation in general, and that's why I titled this little transmission in this way, because money is almost a byproduct of everything else. So. If something stirred in you, in our audience over here, just please let us know. You have the number on the screen, 94253. Just text, mention the host, myself, Eric Dupont, and I'll make sure that you get connected with Cornelius. And as you heard directly from him, he'll talk to you. So you guys can have a conversation. You can ask all your perhaps more private questions, that sort of stuff. You can ascertain for yourself that, this is a fantastic program and something that will be of value, that's going to make a difference in your life. So, Cornelius, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being with us, walking this path and teaching us day in and day out, even when the market, does what the market does. To me, it's really about working with something that is a soulless environment, the market, and maybe perhaps just finding your soul in the process. And that's what
Yes.
it's about. So thank you, Cornelius. I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. I'm going to wish you a good day. We just made it right under an hour, so perfect. And
All
for
right.
everyone watching, thank you also. You can catch the replay if you're not here live, and we'll catch you next time.
All right.
Bye,
God
everybody.
bless. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.